Right now, let's bring you our first cast of the day and have some different music. Here we go. So this is a 1 versus 1 ladder, and it is going to go down on good old Skirmishes Major. Nice map, is quite often seen as a 3v3, 1, 2, 3 players having to go at each other, or some extra spawns back here. I've seen quite large ones, but it is absolute ladder pro action. We have in the red corner up this side, it is Low. He is going UEF, opening up first land, and his opponent today is White Horse, who is blue, and he's gone UEF. So we're going to see how these two guys are going to get on and just have a quick look at the opening builds for this map. So the plan from White Horse is actually building a couple of P-gens. That is also the plan from Slow. So there's plenty of reclaim to be had, which is probably why they're doing it. Have a look at all these rocks around the starting point. They can just pop out some engineers who can, or even just anybody, and just go with the reclaim battle. So quite often you'll see, you know, first factory straight into the hydro. In this case, there's enough reclaim around that they can actually get some other engines out and start getting all this mass and start just slurping it up, because that's what they can do. So both players doing exactly the same thing. They have had the commander build a factory, do 2 P-gens, then in fact the commander is working on the 4 mixers, followed by walking to the edge, grabbing a bit of manual reclaim, and then some edge building to throw up a pair of factories. In the meantime, these two engines are going for the hydro. They're popping out some power and an air factory. So land factory, then air factory. And down here, very much the same. You can see there's hydro into extra power and an air factory. So very, very similar builds for these two guys, and they are pro, so you can expect them to know what they're doing. Like me, who'd have no clue, I'd probably stick for a standard factory or mix hydro build, but they don't want to send the commander over this way to the hydro. They want to send him over here so he can slap up some edge builds, get some factories up in this direction, and start spamming out some units. That's going to be interesting. Now, the other item about Skirmishes Major is this middle area absolutely full of reclaim. This is a quantum gateway. This is an active quantum gateway. If you can capture it, you'll be able to start spitting out support commanders. But who does that, honestly? The majority of people will simply rock up here with a bunch of T1 arty. They will kill off the T1 point defense, and then they'll reclaim the buildings in the middle, because it's going to be too difficult to try and hold this far up. Like, middle of the map just simply doesn't happen. So it's done for reclaim. So up here we now have 3 factories lined up as low with this commander, and you can see, there we go, the reclaim order from the factory to grab all these rocks around the start to help with that. We see same thing happening over here. Engineers have moved out with that build order, and they are reclaiming all the extra rocks as well, and the more factories on the edge build. This is the way. It is edge build time. We have a roving mech marine. He's hunting for something, and this could be ill-timed, or he's going to run into the mantis. I feel like he's going to not see the engineer. No, he's not. And he's going to run afoul of the mantis. Unfortunately, the mech marine trying to get away. No good for him. Pauses to engage, but engaging is a bad idea when there's a mantis in your face. One mech marine dead. First kill of the game goes to White Horse. Congrats, little mantis. You done the job. The job was to protect engineers, and it has done that quite effectively. Okay. First air unit is out from Zlo and is a scout who wants to see what's going on. First air factory is just about to finish for White Horse. He could have actually gone first bomber and caused a wee bit of havoc, but he hasn't. So these engineers have piled up, and they have managed to reclaim all the rocks around this edge. They now need to consider moving. Actually, there's an engineer down here getting all the rest of that. 3 factories here, and they are going over. We have 1 factory spitting out NGs. Well, spit out a couple of NGs, just start that kind of reclaim mission on that point. And compared up to here, there's only 2 factories, but the third one is back down here. Going to take a little bit longer for those units to get to the front from down on the back of the base. So those commanders still in the base, actually, is now looking like he's starting to make his way out to the middle, kind of, whereas the commander for White Horse is already on his way and planning a land factory here, likely to spit out a couple of tier 1 RD to start having a go at the reclaim on there. So one thing you can sort of do is you can kind of build up a small army here, wait for your opponent to take time to kill off the point mess, and then move in and steal the reclaim. Maybe. But might happen. Right, down this way there has been Striker on Mantis action, and this Mantis has no kills now. The striker has no kills. Looks like there was a bit of a kill to kill there, just having to go to each other, but this Mantis trying to sneak on past isn't going to happen. He's run into another striker who seems to be having targeting issues. I saw not a few shots running past there. About 3 shots just completely missed the Mantis, so tracking is a bit of a problem. And with all the manual reclaim for that engineer, have some fun getting all of that. I mean, have a look. Communicator reclaim? Yeah, these guys are definitely going for it. Units on the hill. Going to be approached by a 3 Mantis and a scout, although there are 4 strikers down here, so that should be a maybe they won't go that way. Instead they'll just regroup and look to move in as a cohesive unit. Expansion is happening. This is the early stages of the game, trying to get engineers out to grab the mixes and trying to prevent your opponent from doing the exact same. If you can get ahead on that front, you'll be good. This way we can see just a little bit of T1 posturing at the moment. Everybody just wants to be a little bit cautious. They want to get in and do what they can, but being a bit cautious. Oh, hello. Looks like he's reclaimed the science labs as well. Why not? Extra mass up on the ridges. Fun times. So here we go. T1 RD to the middle and doing exactly what you would ask them to do to take out the T1 point defense. And some wall reclaim is usually involved to make a gap for units to get through or a commander to run away. So as soon as that dies, we shall find that would be on the cards. Push is starting up over here. 4 Mantis rushing in against 3 damage strikers. They're not going to have a grand old time. The Mantis survive, the strikers do not. And now they can have free roaming to take out these mass extractors. No pressure to push them back. But I think the focus is going to be in the middle for now. You see there's 1, 2, 3 T1 RD up for there. Whitehorse is impatient and decides he's just going to walk in with his commander anyway and start the reclaim business on that gateway. So everybody's chipping in. See, Zlo is helping to destroy that now as well. He's got T1 RD lobbing the shells over. He cannot let that continue. If he does, he's going to destroy it and let Whitehorse, who's already reclaiming, grab basically all of that mass. So Zlo pops in with his commander. He's got T1 RD. Does he know that Whitehorse is there? The answer is, well, he must know something. Got radar signatures, and that's a lot of units coming from Whitehorse, and Zlo wants to be a wee bit careful. Although somebody who also wants to be careful is Whitehorse. He could find himself in a wee bit of pain if he mismanages his units. At the moment, Zlo is taking care of business. He's killing off for the T1 units and the T1 RD rocking up behind him. However, Zlo is maybe a bit distracted down here with the units pushing on in, although those Mantis are dead in the water. And up here, Whitehorse also trying to push on this way, running into a nice wall of strikers there, who should hopefully be able to contend with that if this engineer is to survive. There's another striker coming on in, and I think they should be okay, but in the middle, things going on there, and Whitehorse is not fighting with his comm, he is just grabbing that reclaim, and look at it go. He has just sat there, grabbed it all, and that has given him a somewhat of an advantage in the reclaim business. Let's just have a check. Well, I thought it would have, but Zlo has been doing pretty well for himself otherwise. He's actually ahead in the reclaim despite Whitehorse standing here and grabbing pretty much all of that. Wow, kind of surprised. But anyway, now Whitehorse wants to be a wee bit careful. There's a much bigger army choking up for Zlo, whose commander is quite hurt, probably 2/3 health, and standing under T1 RD is never a good idea, so he's probably going to want to think about falling on back. Okay, stabilize the bottom south area has Zlo. He's got some units sitting here. They're holding that area firm for engineer to rebuild and grab some more reclaim there, but I know they're on the move now. They might encounter these guys. Perhaps they're just repositioning to take that out. Who knows, but he's sending some units down here. Just wants to take out that engineer to stop the build. Up on the north sector, this is a sizable force from Whitehorse. Quite a large number actually, and I think more than what's sitting over here for Zlo, but it is early game. It's not even the 10th minute yet. But do we have any tech on the way? Well, not from that factory. And not from the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Zlo's gone factory mad. He has got himself 13 factories, which is 68 tanks, another 25 or so units, but compare that to 18 factories for Whitehorse. Okay, he's gone factory mad, and he's got 84 Mantis and 15 Arty. So the ground forces are a bit similar. I'd say they are very much in favour of White Horse at the moment. He has far more Mantis, and they can be quite the damaging to all of these. Slow has to bring his commander back to the mid to maybe shore those up, but White Horse is also there damage as well. But at this stage, White Horse has more units, he has more factories, and he has just maybe a wee bit more of the map control, because he does have the units up here. However, they are sitting within range of T1 Arty down here. That's never a great idea. Sitting still, getting picked off, yeah, dropping back is the answer. In the middle, it is very much standoff. Slow keeps on sending units in one by one. Has he got a rally point? He does. He just found it and changed it. He realized what was happening and decides, yeah, that's a bad idea. I better grab those guys back. Okay then. Plenty of upgrades. How's the income? Well, Slow's actually running ahead with it. He is about 25 eco ahead of White Horse. Is that? That's not even power lock. That is a true reading on their income. Slow has just put a lot more into his eco, so this is why White Horse is ahead on units. He's got more on the ground, but he is behind in eco from doing so, and he hasn't used that ground advantage. Good morning, Altizen. How we doing, my friend? Nice to see you. This is looking pretty dicey. So, where is the push going to happen? That is going to be the question. Looks like the push is going to happen up the top here. White Horse has gotten kind of tired of these T1 Arty popping their shells over, but these guys, they're going to run into a determined force of T1 units here, plus a T1 PD, and now there's reinforcements shifting on up in the middle as well, so they either need to push on through, or they need to run away and not get flanked by these units coming in. And the response is to maybe move back. Does White Horse aware? He does. He does have radar. Got a radar up there, he can see exactly what kind of movement is going on. Maybe he wants to think about dragging the T1 Arty up here to lob shells over onto that T1 PD. That could be worthwhile if they're in range. I think they should have range. Yeah, I think it could sit here and just drop some shells on. That would be a good way to take care of that, and it would help take out some of those problems. Okay, how is tech over this way? There we go. We do have a T2 HQ for White Horse, and he's starting to spit out some rhinos. I think there might really be one or two on the field I might have missed, or that could be the first one. Might be the first one. There is a T2 engine there for power though. Over on this side, do we have any tech for Slow as of yet? Well, we do. There's a T2 factory here that has been spitting out pillars. He's got a few trundling up to the front lines already, so he's a wee bit ahead on that. He's already got some TAC missile defense, so he's expecting some missiles at some point. Although I'm not seeing any from either side at the stage. No, just TMD, preventative, expecting it. But a huge fight going down on the middle here. And just keep an eye on this. We have a good line of units here, just staying in a nice big group, and a T1 PD up behind them. But they're nice to all clump together, and T1 Arty does for them quite well. Those shells landing over, taking a ridiculous amount, but that is a T2. Point defense, that is a nice little riot there, rocking shells on over, catching out, and now they're running into these forces up here. But I'm hearing up on the top here, I redirect my attention up the top, another push up here from White Horse. He wants to try and break through here, but again, having problems from that T1 PD snipping at the edges of his forces, and it's looking pretty even. There's a lot of ground firing going on here, so fuck the ground from those Mantis. They hate the ground a huge amount. But if they just move a little bit forward, that is going to help the damage output of those guys incredibly. That is a wee bit of a waste. They want to get in before this is completed too. If they can rush on up, they could do some extra damage, but again, more point defense down in key areas and a side flank coming through. Pillars rocking on up, and these guys are going to have to fall back to avoid getting defeated. Okay. In this direction we have T2 completed for Slow on his commander, so he can actually now start burning things, and he's pushing through the middle now. So he's heading through some raiding units in the midsection. They can maybe come down and look at trying to kill off some of this ego here, but I don't think they have much success. There are a few units around, including some T2, which will very much be in control. Back here, another push up this direction. There is T2 again in the mix. Got a few pillars and that triad back here being annoying. So it's going to take a bit to try and chew through all of this. Really needs some extra support from some T2 units in the mix to try and get in there, or just bum rush that. Doing a good job though, is clearing up the units. There's not a lot left, but he's losing a lot of units of his own and dumping a fair bit of mass. So once again, we have the whole thing of where you fight matters, and leaving that mass under the watchful eye of this triad, so you see it can kill anything that tries to get close enough to scoop that up, and you get to turn around and grab this guy and start making his own. Good evening, Rowie. How is your first morning for you, isn't it? Having a good time, I hope. Up this direction, we can see a counter push is finally happening from Zlo. He is tired of this army up the north and he's shoving it back, particularly because he has got some pillars in there. And those T2 units are making all the difference right now. They can soak up a ton of damage compared to the tanks, and indeed the fallback is real over there. In the middle though, there has been a bit of a pushback there from the White Horse as well, so he's re-established some territory. Not for long though. They have run into a bit of a problem with the T1 PD and a commander who's now throwing down T2 PD. And he has a attack launcher, of course he does. And the question is he going to start using it? Has he scouted? Does he know if there's any team deal? Actually, Zlo hasn't scouted his opponent ever. He's never seen what's going on over there. And no sooner do I say that, White Horse is in the same situation, than Zlo actually sends out a swarm of scouts. He wants to see what's going on, and that is actually a good read on intel and buildings. He now knows plenty, and then also knows there is TMD all over the place, so this launcher is going to be slightly ineffective. Can't fire out this way to take out those, there's a TMD there. Can't fire out to take out those, there's TMD there. He knows he's got a comm coming in with some T2, and he knows his opponent now has T2 land there. Still sticking with the T1 there, but it's a good read. And okay, these ones here are exposed, so we could tack missile that lot. Got T2 radar in the middle, I think, by the judging of what I'm seeing. There it is, T2 radar, but there is a push coming in from, well, isn't a push coming in from White Horse. That is all done and dusted. Okay, so White Horse can't really push this with his comm. There is a T2 point defense there, there's a T1 PD there, there's radar, more T1 PD. Not a happy place to try and push into. And over here we can see this engineer has indeed grabbed, starting to grab with the reclaim, put another triad down just for extra security, and that's a small field. I say small field, a couple of thousand mass in there ready to be grabbed, and that's going to go into Zlo's coffers and really help him out. And if we just check the eco, 135 to 100, Zlo is keeping his aheadness. And still popping out the T2 though, and as soon as I say that, actually, he has just started a T3 upgrade right now. As we speak, if we have a check over in this direction, is there an upgrade on the way for White Horse? No, there isn't. He's sticking with the T2 units for now. That might make things a little bit tricky though. He does have plenty of T2 support factories up here, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Maybe wants to stick the units out of there and turn that into a T3 HQ. There you go for it. Really needs to consider it and needs to get something on his cards, because he is struggling at the moment to contain the forces of Zlo. Maybe he can put some units up here and start lobbing over some T1. Oh, here we go. Nice T1 bomber spread. Or is that focusing down on the T2? Nope, focusing the T2 down. And those are some very unhappy pillars. They're not looking very chunky. T1 bombers swing on back. Maybe we've got a bit of a spread bump going on now. There's the air forces coming on in. Lots of interceptors from Zlo. They're going to wander overhead and wreck those bombers. We see the air wing of White Horse is in attendance as well. And is this going to be air fight for the game? No, it's not. Zlo disengages. He doesn't quite want to have that fight just yet. He wants to let his ground units do the talking and see what they can do. But the ground units are not having a happy time. Don't want to land your Indies there though. They will start getting shot at by these ground units. Keep them flying or they will have a bad time. Here we go. Back up into the air. So down here units are pushing on up, but they run into a few pillars, and there's a triad and residence as well, and that is not quite enough to dissuade White Horse from pushing, so he is carrying on through. Really wants to try and get through this point. We see T1 bombers coming through again. They're bombing the wrong thing though. Oh no, they're going for the triad. It's not an awful idea. There's some extra damage to that. It'll die off, and they will fly straight into the air wing of Zlo. And those T1 bombers are unhappy, but also unhappy are the inties flying over flak. That's never a good thing. Flak will absolutely ruin the day of T1 interceptors, especially when they clump together. Only got 3 kills, but 7 kills for that guy. So not great. T1 Arty is up on the edge here and starting to throw their shells on down, and that could be a painful loss. We see there are T1 mass extractors upgrading. Losing those would be a complete and utter lack of mass. waste of mass, sorry. But on the other side we see, no, not quite the same push from Slow. He is held back right at the moment. I would say that White Horse has just slightly more territory, but just take a look at the eco, and Slow is running away with it now. It was 135 to 100, now it is 180 to 105. We're just going to check those numbers. That is real income. He's not, no, not reclaim related. That is actually his income, and he is way ahead now. He's absolutely hooping it up. Right, what is first coming out of here? He is giving up map control due to the T3 shift. You are quite right. He's done that, and he's just let it pull back a little bit. And hello, that's maybe why White Horse is not doing so well on the eco phase. That tack launch has got 3 kills. We've seen 1, 2 there. What else has he killed off with that? I'm sure there's been some other destructions somewhere to help reduce the income of White Horse. In the middle though, this is not a great idea, trying to push into a bunch of T1 PD and T2 PD in the middle. That's going to be painful, though there is a lot of rhinos in there, and they can shoot over the walls. There we go, you can see them sitting there, killing off the T1 PD, and kill the try, and then kill that, and there's not much left in the middle to slow them down once they have taken out that T1 PD right there. Engineer pops down, and I think that's actually a blocking factory, so it's not going to get much done in that case. Try it thrown up back here by Slow, and wants to maybe consider moving his comm back. There's, yep, or he's going to overcharge. Does he have overcharge? He's not overcharging. He does have access to it, but he's not using it, and there's a lot of T2 units. If they rush his commander, they could cause some damage, but instead they're going up the other way. Maybe White Horse doesn't realize the commander is right there. No, he doesn't. He's got no radar. If he'd realized Slow's comm was there and was not overcharging, he may have decided to push that. Instead, they move up this way. They kill up a T1 PD and look to join the main force in the mid-expansion of Slow's base. But there are Titans in this mix. They are handy for killing off lesser units and some T1 PD as well, and that's going to be a bit of a problem for White Horse trying to push through there. He could switch around, but there is T1 PD just littered everywhere. Slow's just puts them up randomly here, there, all sorts of places, and along with the Titans and small roving bands here, that's going to be, should be a hold for Slow. And he also has supporting units coming on in, so I don't think there's going to be too much more action out of this little band from White Horse. Okay, and hello to the reclaim. All those units that have died have left 12,000 reclaim. Yep, just under 12,000 reclaim in this area alone, ready to be hoovered up right on Slow's doorstep. In this direction, is this a push out also? Is White Horse trying to move on up with units, trying to get something done? Here is an... Is this the airfight we've been waiting for? It looks like they're having a good go, but there is flak down here. If they can throw some extra rounds up here, look at that, just destroy those. Those guys en masse. You see the rounds go up, see antis dropping out of the sky in clumps. And thanks to the flak, I believe that was an air... Well, actually no, it was a draw. Slow still has more interceptors, I believe. Have a quick check on what's there. He has 30 odd compared to the 20 odd. So the flak was the balancer in that air battle, and that has been absolutely helping out. Okay. White Horse still has map control, but he does not have the eco. That is firmly in the hands of Slow, who's actually dropped a lot back because he's power stalling. Never mind, he was power stalling, now he's good as soon as I click on that. Still just the T2 land for White Horse here, not shifting up to T3. He is starting to spam out Corsairs, so he figures he might as well have a go in the air game with those. There's some more power going up, so he is a bit low on that. He's a wee bit low, and that should absolutely help out get his units there, but honestly, he needs a radar. Oh, he's got radar in the middle there, that's going to help. You can see things. In comes another Titan. Maybe that's ill-advised. Runs into a swarm of rhinos who pick it apart. I mean, it's T3, but it's the Titan. And running into this kind of force is never a good idea, even if you are a Titan. Percival could maybe sit back and blink him off, but now they're starting to face a bit of a PD creep. There's a couple of triads down here lobbing their shells on and causing issues, and perhaps it's time to think about less direct fire units and something with a bit more range. Some mobile missile launchers would start popping their missiles over and they start doing some damage, and you could even, you know, sneak them up this way and start doing some extra stuff up there. Slow has rebuilt his tech launcher, so that one dies and he's going to build another one. I'm not sure what he can go for. These are a bit exposed, no TMD there, but there is TMD on this lot. There is still TMD there, these ones are exposed. And just have a look at this. Whitehorse still has 13 T1 mixes compared to 11. So 11 T2 mixes and 13 T1. We switch that over to Zlo, who has 18 T2 mixes, and I think he's actually got, no, it's just all T2. Take that back, it's all T2, oh no there is, here's a couple of T3. So he's really pushed on ahead, and speaking of pushing, this is a massive push out this way from Whitehorse, a successful one. He has cleared out that area and reclaimed it for his forces, and now he's got some reclaim he can get. If he can just shoo off this T2PD here, he'll be able to get some engineers up and grab all of that space. And yeah, no T3 mix for Whitehorse at all, but he does have a bunch of Corsairs, so that's going to be a bit of a worry. The force up the top here from Whitehorse trying to push on in, but not going to get much done. There are Triads as well as Titans, and these guys are going to have to pull back in the face of all of that, and they're leaving behind all of this reclaim still yet to be really grabbed. 10,000 sitting here for whoever has the best engineers, which at the moment it looks like it might be Whitehorse, isn't too far away, but the stealth didn't work very well. And it's got spotted by a, there we go. It was a hummingbird flying over. T1 Scout to actually reveal these guys, which gave the Triads a target solution, and solution they do and start firing. The push does continue up this way. This is Whitehorse being very aggressive with his units. He knows he's facing up against T3, but he's taking these rhinos, and he is just making a push of things. This is one very sturdy T1 PD that wants to hide behind walls, and it's hiding really well actually. None of those shots are getting through, they're all impacting on there, but as soon as that wall goes down, that's interesting, it stays alive. Is there any T1 AD that can come over and save that? Oh, the amount of damage those walls have absolutely done their job, and trying to take down the Titans and control the area, but Whitehorse is running out of units. In the meantime, he has put a chunk of engineers down here, trying to get as much that reclaim as possible, of which there is a lot to grab, and still struggling with that T1 PD. Look at that, 11 kills for this guy. More than made his money worth. Killed, we don't see how much mass is killed as for veterancy, but my word. Unless that is, that's just a veterancy count, I don't see what's going on, but they're still alive, still going on, and almost dead though. Those rhinos are finally broken through the walls, and T1 PD also lobbing the shells over it, and the rank of veterancy, that is very tough little T1 PD. It has had a field day with the units coming on through. 18 kills. That had a lot of success thanks to the walls around it. Alright, and Zlo is feel free to counter push on that, and speaking of countering, it's a lot of Lobos. Their fire just goes lobbing on over, and they're going to have a grand old time against any clumped units. And here comes the Corsairs, and there go the Titans. Mass amounts of damage going down on those. The air is there. Where is Zlo's air? All the empties are up this way, and the Corsairs are looking for targets maybe, or they might get caught out here. They're very spread out. There's a lot of them though, 18 of them. If he knew where things were, he might go for them. Like there's a T3 HQ, if he goes for that, it's going to be a grand old time. But now the Corsairs are going to get caught out by the air wing. Interceptors are tangling, and Zlo has way more interceptors than Whitehorse, who does pull on back. He's got his Corsairs down here in a bunch. Does Zlo know they're there? Well, he suspects, and actually he knows now, because those guys have just come straight on in, and all those Corsairs are doomed unless Whitehorse can get those inties into support, and Corsairs just split. They spread on out as interceptors come in, and now the Corsairs coming back in. They are T2 fighter bombers, so they can still do an air fight. And there's an air fracas over this T3. These Titans are just having a grand old day, cleaning up as much as possible, and it's not looking great. That is an air win for Zlo. His interceptors now control the skies over here, what is left of White Horse's Air Force runs back, though they still has a good bunch of good bunch of T2 Corsairs ready to rock on through. Scouts going out trying to find some target of worth, but right here, all the way at the back is Lowe's comm. So Whitehorse going to have a bit of a struggle to find him. Scouts have to try and get all the way through, but there's anti-air all over the place. They're not really going to make it and figure out where the comm is for some kind of sniper attempt. And I don't think he has enough units for it anyway. That will probably require 2 passes from that many Corsairs to kill a commander. And I don't know if they get to with the amount of anti-air. There's flak all over the place and there's inties floating around. So now T3 push coming from the south side from Slow, and that is looking pretty dangerous. There's not a lot on the ground that can slow them up. In fact, I don't know if there's enough to slow them up. Now would be a good time to use these Corsairs. They could do some extra damage, but the Titans are posturing, twisting, turning. They don't want to get too close for the engage. Just want to mix things up and kill off as much as they can before damage is done. There goes the attack launcher. So even through all of this, Low still, remembering he has a launch down here, is killing off all the eco, killing off the build power, and it's not looking great. Corsairs have lifted off, and that's a Percival. So even with the Titans down here, there's actually a Percival in the mix as well now. That thing is going to be strong at taking out these T2. Nice one-shotting any Rhino, I think. Flat. And here come the Corsairs with a nice spread fire, plenty of damage done. And that is some very heavily damaged Titans. Not much left of them, but along comes a Cougar. It's going to start having to go at these Corsairs as well. It's got 2 kills. Every time it opens up, I think it's killing one of them. Yep. It has enough in a single salvo to kill a Corsair from full health. And that's not looking all great. And speaking of not looking great, T1 Ardy pushing through the middle. And these Corsairs really need to start doing something and trying to slow these down, because that's all there is to stop this kind of push. Titans are in the mix as well, but they don't take much to kill. There is T2 Rhinos having to go. And Slow all the way back here with this commander thinks, I'll just throw a shield on, just in case he finds me, just in case he tries to snipe me. But that's not looking great. There's a transport here ready to go with a drop, but there's a Titan steaming on in. Never mind, the Titan is too late. Transport does get away. These units in the middle are getting hammered, but that's Titan down there. Shield has been regened, so it might have low health, but still going to take some time to kill. And the Corsairs are piling up a White Horse. 28 of them now, so that's a dangerous amount when you consider there's a commander somewhere, but he does not know where Slow's comm is. Or if he did, he would be going for it. Down this direction, Rhinos are still trying to do the anti-Titan thing, which admittedly they're not too bad at. In numbers, they can actually take down Titans pretty well, but Titans in numbers do fight back, and when you throw a couple of Percivals in the mix, the Rhino's going to have a bad time. It's Slow going for the shield field now, just want the extra bit of action. And, that was a strange air engage from Slow. The Inties came up, they stopped, but now they have caught the Corsairs, and I believe that will be his focus. Take those out of the sky, seeing what he can do, but they are flying over flak again, so extra damage coming over from that. That's going to be a big deciding factor in that air fight. Many Inties flapping out of the sky, but not much left in the way of Corsairs for Whitehorse. He had nigh on 30 of the things, now he's got 6. So still an air win for Slow, and now he can not have to worry about these virtually at all. Still doing the T2 air, still doing the T2 land, and it just has not worked for Whitehorse. Slow made the transition to T3, he got the units out, he lost ground, yes, but he also focused on his eco and tech, and has just simply outplayed Whitehorse in this one. And it was a valiant effort, and Whitehorse wasn't doing badly. He did have the map control for quite some time, but gave up on the eco, and also gave up on the tech at some point. Didn't match the T3 shift from Slow, and now it is basically over. Units streaming into his main base now. The eco gap is 4-1 in mass. Slow has just gone madness with eco, and it is not looking great. Titans in your base, what you're going to do, you're going to start losing infrastructure. That's what you're going to do. And you're just going to start pummeling all sorts of things. White Horse back here with his comm. I don't know if he's got overcharge. I think it's a weak point anyway. He may have, but as soon as these Titans see that commander, they can just turn around, switch up, and just melt the health off him. Any time now, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. T2 air still walking around. Titans are in position and starting to target. Corsairs are over here trying to thin out numbers, but there's just so much more coming in, and so many Titans. They are focusing. There we go. There's the focus, and there's their health just dripping off White Horse. Absolutely, completely, and utterly gone. So there we have it, folks. UEF victory. Zlo takes the game.